Hello guys and welcome back to Ollie's on the Ball. Welcome to my round 7 tips video. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Last week 2 out of 8 tips. Pretty pathetic. And there's lots of upsets. My first tip was very good and then I was very good at all. Ollie's Cole's 2 out of 8. That was pretty good. Oh, decent. I got a couple of good ones, and then the rest were not amazing. Like Brisbane scoring 100 points. There was 100 points exactly scored in the game. First match, Richmond v Melbourne, MCG 7:30 p.m. Wednesday. Because of the Anzac round, this is the Anzac Eve game on a Wednesday. Richmond record 1-5. Last week had the bye. Shaky start to the season, their forward line's missing a few key components with Tom Lynch, Noah Bolter out. Josh Gibson is out, Tim Taranto, Jacob Hopper I think is returning. Melbourne 4-2 last week bye. They've had a decent start to the season. They win this and they're really in the top 4. Lose it and they're a bit shaky. But you would expect Melbourne to win this one. It's at the MCG. Should be a big crowd. Usually a pretty good game. But I'm going to go the expected tip with Melbourne by 35. My Ollie's Cole less than 150 points combined to scored. Next game, Essendon v Collingwood, MCG, 3:20 p.m. Thursday. It's the Anzac Day game. These always seem to be close, even if you wouldn't necessarily think it's going to be the closest game. But I think this Collingwood, even though they are worse on the ledger, will be favourites. Essendon 4-2 last week defeated Adelaide by 3. Controversial win after the Sam Draper holding the ball incident, but it was a good win and they probably did deserve it. Collingwood 3-3 last week defeated Port Adelaide by 42. Yeah, that was good from Collingwood. They played really well in the second half. Bit of a shaky start, but after that they were on fire. I'm going to go the bog standard tip here with Collingwood by 29. My Ollie's Cole, Peter Wright kicks 2+ goals. Next game, GWS v Brisbane. This should be a pretty good game. Thursday night game. Third game of the round though. GWS 5-1. Lost last week to Carlton by 19. This should be a very interesting game with both Jesse Hogan and Toby Green getting suspended. Brisbane 2-4 last week lost to Geelong by 26. Not a good showing, as in if it was dry weather footy they might have played a bit differently, but you can't make up heaps of excuses. If they lose this, their season is really in doubt of making finals. GWS genuinely play well at Manuka, and I'm going to tip them probably nearly an upset with their forwards missing by 8 with my Ollie's Call. Brown, Daniels and Bedford combined for 8 goals. If GWS are going to win, it's going to be those 3 because they haven't got any other forwards. Port Adelaide, St Kilda, Adelaide Oval, 7:40 p.m. Friday. Port Adelaide 4-2 last week lost to Collingwood by 42. They were absolutely on fire in the first quarter and a half. I tipped them. I was like, yes, what a good tip. Then they absolutely stopped playing. Thought it was hard. The half-time went for 2 hours and lost by 42. St Kilda last week lost to the Bulldogs by 60. Absolutely pathetic showing. My tip was 4 points off, so it was actually a good tip. Record 2-4. Their season's pretty much over if they lose this, but it already is. Adelaide should thump St Kilda, especially after the way that St Kilda played last week by 77 points. My Ollie's Call, Port Adelaide have a streak in the game where they kick 5+ goals in a row. Next game, North Melbourne, Adelaide at Blunston Arena. I will be attending this match, so hopefully I can film some content for the channel. This North Melbourne They've had a pretty bad start to the season. They're 0-6. They've probably gone backwards. Lost last week to Hawthorn by 45. Not a good performance. Adelaide 1-5. Lost to Essendon by 3. You could say, oh, Draper holding the ball, they should have won. But if you looked at scoring shots, Essendon dominated. So really, it was Essendon's game to lose. So both teams won and both teams at the bottom end of the ladder. North do play well at Lunston, probably better than they would in Melbourne, but this should be an easy tip. I'm tipping Adelaide by 49. With my eyes called North Melbourne go goalless in a quarter. Next game, Carlton v Geelong, MCG, 4:35pm Saturday. Geelong record 6-0. Last week defeated Brisbane by 26. Really good win. In the wet, Graham Myers had an outstanding game, so did Max Holmes. Unfortunately for the Geelong, they'll be missing Tom Stewart due to concussion protocols. Carlton 5-1 last week defeated GWS by 19. Good win. They were down by 20 points in the third quarter, just kept going. Tom DeConing, Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay all had good games. Fortunately, they'll be missing Zach Williams with an Achilles knock, I'm pretty sure. And it should be a very close game. It's probably, should be like the Friday or Saturday night game. It's actually a really good round of footy. But I'm going to tip the Blues in this one by 11, probably in the upset with the Ollie's call. 10 plus goals are kicked in any quarter, so a very high scoring quarter. Next game, the traditional Fremantle Anzac Day game, or Anzac round game at Optus Stadium, 7:30pm Saturday. Freo record 3-3, lost last week to West Coast by 37. They're not a 3-3 side. They could be a 5-1 side or 4-2 side, easy. And they definitely played better this year than the Bulldogs. Dogs record 3-3 last week, defeated St Kilda, by 60. Outstanding performance. Bailey Dale had an absolute hurler of a game. This should be a pretty close game for Saturday night footy. I'm tipping the Dogs by 17 in an upset. And I'm not a Dogs supporter, even though I probably tips them in an unexpected game. With my eyes call, Freo lead for more than half of the game, so maybe they're up most of the game and then choke it at the end and lose. But for Freo supporters, hopefully that doesn't happen. Next game, Sunday, 1 o'clock, West Coast and Gold Coast, the Battle of the Coast. This should be actually a decent game because West Coast are actually a chance to win a couple of games this year. They've already won 2. Harley Reid everyone's loving Harley Reid at the moment. Suns are 3-3, lost last week to Sydney by 53. Not a great performance. It looks like they were in it. And then after halftime, the Swans just piled on the goals. West Coast 2-4, lost last week to beat Freo by 37. Absolutely outstanding performance. Jake Waterman on fire. Harley Reid's going superbly. Elliot Yeo's going superbly. Everyone's playing well for the Eagles at the moment. If Gold Coast lose this, West Coast and Gold Coast are on the same ledger. Who thought that would have happened at the start of the year? I might go the safe tip in this one. I'm tipping Gold Coast by 11. My eyes call Harley Reid has 20 plus disposals and a goal. So another good performance from Harley. All the Harley hype, and he's going to have another good performance. Next game, MCG 4pm Sunday. This is probably one of the worst games of the round. Hawks 1-5 last week defeated North by 45. Easy win. They looked a bit shaky at the start, but after that they didn't miss a beat. Sydney 5-1 last week defeated Gold Coast by 53. Superb performance. Brody Grundy playing very well at the moment, and so are all the Sydney players. This is a pretty easy tip to finish the week off. I'm tipping Sydney by 43. My Ollie's call Sydney lead all game. Thanks for watching Ollie's on the Ball. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you enjoyed the content, and see you next week.